and welcome to 9 to 42, the podcast from the team at the Guitar Show UK. Join us for interviews, updates and chat with artists, influencers and those that manufacture the gear that we love. Hello and welcome to 9 to 42, which is the podcast from the guys at the Guitar Show UK. And my good friend Jace Hunt is looking a little bit... I don't know if you're looking subdued or if it's the light, Jace. You look like you've got an Instagram filter on tonight. What's going on?
It's because I've just walked into the room and because they're energy-saving bulbs. Give it half an hour and it will be bright light.
Oh, right, okay.
Now.
It's not. This is not because of your bills, is it? It's not to keep you...
No.
Right, okay. Cool. You keeping well in yourself?
Yes, I had a good day. I announced that Ginger Wildheart and the Sinners will be playing at the Guitar Show today. That seems to have gone down quite well.
Good news. Fantastic. Look forward to hooking up with Ginger. That'd be good. And we have with us tonight session guitarist, solo artist, all-round top bloke, and currently in Paris, Rufus Miller. How are you, Rufus?
Very well, thanks. Yeah, pleasure to be on the show with you guys. Thank you for having me. Well,
to be fair, it's a minor miracle for us to organise this in 2 hotel rooms and what have you. It's beyond the pleasure. It's actually quite a miracle, if we're being honest. Just as a quick start-up, obviously we've had lockdown for the last sort of couple of years. In fact, I think it's Day of Remembrance. Is it today for the second anniversary of lockdown? How have you been keeping yourself busy?
I've been well, yeah. I ended up in London for lockdown because before that I was living in Copenhagen. It just worked out that I got stuck in London. And I was with my sister, Martys Miller, who's a very talented singer-songwriter. And we just made loads of music together. So it worked out quite well. And then I reconnected with all my buddies in London because I'm from London. So just got busy with writing, recording, and sitting in the park playing guitar.
Yeah. So making music with your sibling, have you thought about reaching out to the Gallaghers and just giving them a bit of a course in how you do it?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, she's 9 years younger than me, so there's a bit of a gap. But it's ever since she was little, I recognised that she was a better singer than me and potentially better songwriter. So I've just been very honoured to grow up, with her and watch her shine And it's nice to reconnect, because we hadn't played together in a while. Mm.
Did you do some live streamed gigs and stuff like that?
Yeah, we did loads actually. Yeah, we did one every week. There's a night called Easy Come Acoustic Club in South London, which is a bit of an institution for all the local songwriters. And so we kept that going through live streams. So that was awesome to be able to do that. And now that night's actually doing better than ever. So I'm happy to see that it's the torch is still shining bright, for that scene.
Excellent. So, what were you doing you live in Copenhagen?
I was living there, and during the whole lockdown, I realised it was time to come back. I just had 4 years away. I'd always lived in London. Turned 30, got a one-way ticket to India just to do something different, and then followed all these hippies and ended up in Copenhagen and loved it.
What's it, Christiana?
Yeah, I loved it. It's totally different scene, completely different to London. So it was fun. And just as I arrived, Sting happened to be there. And that's when I ended up getting my job back with him. So I split my time between touring with him and being in Copenhagen. So it was a pretty good life for 4 years. I loved it, to be honest.
Oh, I love Copenhagen. I think it's a fabulous city.
Yeah.
I mean, hideously expensive. Oh, mate, you should go. We went as a family of 4. So this was obviously everything was a couple of years ago now because no one's done anything for a couple of years. But I don't know, 4 years ago, family of 4, it cost us more to park the car at Luton Airport than it did to buy 4 return flights to Copenhagen.
Wow.
I think we went for something like £28.60 for all 4 of us.
That's amazing.
It's always worth paying the extra to leave your car securely in Luton, though, Jace, to be honest.
Well, yeah, it was fine. It was fine, but it cost about 60 quid to park the car. It was ridiculous. But we had an amazing time. Absolutely amazing. And it was my first experience of going to a Scandi country and just kind of fell in love with it, really.
Mm. And they all speak English. It's very laid back, gentle people. It's not too big. It's good.
At the time, I think they were the happiest country on earth.
Makes sense, yeah. And great jazz musicians there as well. I really found, God, for how few people there are in this country, there's a lot of good musicians.
Yeah, I got small children. I wasn't going anywhere near any clubs with live music.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough, yeah.
So you said that you're just coming off rehearsals?
Yeah,
or you're in the middle of rehearsals?
We just finished. We did 2 days rehearsal. We've got a 6-month tour. Well, it's wrapping up in November, but I think it will work out about 6 months. And yeah, I play guitar with Sting and my dad, who's also in the band.
It's like a family business, isn't it?
It really is, yeah, it is.
Is your dad sort of like... Is it Miller and Sons? So there's a succession plan in place. When I don't fancy touring anymore, my son will become guitarist number 1, and then we'll bring in my daughter, who will become guitarist number 2. Sting's like, I haven't got to worry about anything here at all.
Totally, yeah. And he's got another son who's studying in Manchester. He's only 19, Pablo, and he's a killer guitar player too. So we're all set.
Sting need never worry for several generations here.
Yeah, right.
And he only looks about 40 still.
I know. It's amazing. He really looks after himself, that's for sure.
Does he make the rest of you feel bad backstage?
Yeah, well, a bit. When we see him exercising and doing the plank, we're like, we better be doing that too, you know.
That's not normal for backstage at a rock gig, let's be honest. It's not right, is it?
Not really. But, I guess that's how he's still doing it, I suppose. I guess everyone's looking at the Stones now. Like, they're still doing it, so I guess it's possible.
Although I'm not going to see them, as I discovered the cheapest ticket at Anfield, which is right at the back of the stadium, is only £177.
Good grief.
And I was like, are they not aware of the current economic situation in this country? Yeah, if you wanted to get sort of like onto the pitch, I think it was it 280, something like that? Wow. It's just basically like, I'm not going. I mean, obviously, if I can blag a ticket, I'll go, but I'm not paying that. No.
I mean,
So is this the first tour then of any consequence since COVID? Because that's a big tour, isn't it? 6 months. You must be going. Is that global or big European?
It's Europe and the States, like back and forth. Last year we managed to do 5 gigs in Europe, so like 2 in Sicily, 2 in Athens, which was great, and then I think a private show in Greece somewhere. I forget where. And then we managed to do a Vegas residency, which actually was only 8 gigs, but I ended up being there for almost a month. It was just a relaxed schedule, I guess, and we had a lot of rehearsal for that because it's a big production, and we're going to go back there 2 more times, which seems to be a good way of doing it in this day and age. Just stay at the same venue,
Yeah, is this? I mean, I don't know. But obviously, your dad has been a touring musician for as long as I could tell. Had a quick look at his Wikipedia earlier, and. When you were a kid, did you go on tour with him? Or did he just depart for 6 months and then come back? Yeah,
it was more like that. I'd go and visit him maybe for a couple of days, but it's not really the environment for a kid to be there, They're super busy and they're traveling. So if they were in a town for 2 days, 3 days, I might do that once a year. But on average, I'd say, or maybe a couple of times.
But I suppose, though, you've got someone who's going... if I'd ever made it as a successful musician, my dad's an engineer. There would have been no advice from him whatsoever about life on the road. I mean, surely you've just got like this encyclopedic knowledge that you can pull on all the time.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really lucky with that. And he's always wants to give, knowledge. He's very, he wants me to do well. Lots of advice. It's funny, he makes all sorts of jokes, like, when I was touring, I was so, I was doing this and that and that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe I should do that too. It's like, I guess it goes back to that thing about like, what do you do backstage? What's rock and roll? What's the lifestyle? But he was, I guess I'm the age. How old is he when he joined Sting's band? I guess he was 29, 30. And when I first started working with Sting, I guess I was 26, 25, something like that. So, yeah, there's some interesting things where we sort of trade notes, because I look at him now and I'm like, he's a lot more relaxed. He's a lot more chill, whereas I suppose back in the day, it must have been just so like huge, exciting, wild times, I guess. So he helps me with like just staying on the straight and narrow, not like going too crazy. It's like relax, focus on the job.
Yeah, I suppose I can't imagine going on tour with my mum and dad behind me, sort of thing. That would freak me out. Yeah.
Aside from the fact that, can either of them play anything, Jason?
No.
Right. Okay. Well, there's already a fundamental flaw in what you come.
Yeah.
Same problem with me and my dad. Plus, we'd have to come over every Saturday to watch Sheffield United. So, world tours would be out of the question. Be out of the question.
So, when you were growing up, did you get guitar lessons from your dad?
He didn't really give me guitar lessons, but I suppose when he was back from tour, he'd see that I was interested in guitar. I think I started when I was 7. So he'd just be like, look, here's E chord, A chord, D chord. Once you've figured those out, when I'm back next time, show me what you got. So it wasn't like we're going to sit down and have an hour lesson. It was just very casual, like, here's some stuff. Let's see if you're interested. And it was a good way of doing it, because I really wanted to impress him when I saw him next. So he'd come back and I'd have like 10 songs with E, A, and D chords, and then be like, okay, cool. Well, now here's a riff. Try this riff. But I'd say now's the time I'm really getting schooled, because we're going forensic on parts. We're going forensic on timing and everything. So now in rehearsals, he's like the MD, right? So he's on me, If it's not right, he'll let me know, and that really helps. It makes me play a lot better. And one of the things that I learned quickly was just to try and play simple. Not to overcomplicate things. If anyone's going to do the fancy stuff, it's not going to be me. So just keep it simple, because I think when you're learning, you want to be fancy, right? You want to do complex stuff, because you look what I can do. And he's just like, just chill, just make it simple. So I've really learned how to play very simple, which I like. There's an art to it.
So when you, I suppose when you get to be a teenager, are you starting to form your own sort of like bands and at school or whatever and that sort of thing? Were you in? I suppose what I'm asking really is, what were you doing before 24, 25 when you got the Sting gig?
Yeah, so I thought I was a little solo artist when I was a kid, and then I had a band when I must have been like 11, 10 years old, 9 years old. And funnily enough, I don't know if you ever heard of this guy called Jamie T, but he was the drummer in the band, and we were a 3-piece, and it was a really exciting time for a little kid to just have a band. But then by the time I got to like 14, I had a metal band. And I was super excited about my metal band. And my dad actually helped us record our EP, so that was a really cool way to connect with him. And I took that pretty seriously for 2 years, and then more bands, and then I just got into the flow in London, and I would always be in at least 5 bands at one time. Like a deck of cards. Okay, this band does loads of gigs. This band records a lot, just to try and get my level, my skills up to a good level, and it's just make it feel like a full-time thing. So yeah, just always in bands, and always kind of wanting to do my own thing, but realizing that I needed to develop a little bit more, like particularly my voice and like stylistically as well, what I was going to be doing.
Well, I was cooking tea earlier, and I can't shout it now because it'll go off in the corner, but I said Amazon device, play Rufus Miller, and and it was like shuffling songs. Apart from the fact that there was this weird dance music song that appeared in the middle of this. Is that you? I mean, you can't tell.
No, it's another guy that's got the same name, but I don't know if he does so much anymore. But it's we're both Rufus Miller, but I don't know if he does. Yeah, I don't know if he's putting out as much stuff, but he's still there on the algorithms. I think if on Spotify, if it recommends other artists, it's all these like dance musicians still connected. Yeah. I don't know what you do about that. I'd have to change my name, I guess.
I suppose this is when you become Rufus T. Miller or something, isn't it?
I knew you were going to go with T. I was waiting for you to go T.
Well, originally I was going to say B, and then I changed it at the last minute. I don't know why. Maybe it was your sort of like vibing at me that I've got to say T here.
I knew you go. I just knew you go T. I don't know why. I just thought you go T.
RTM.
Yeah, it's got a ring to it.
Yeah. He's, I mean, you're not for me to tell you how to manage your own solo career. That would be. I'm not the person to give you that advice. But I suppose we should talk about your solo career, because I spent an hour making tea, listening to it, and thoroughly enjoying it. And it wasn't what I expected.
No,
and I'm not really sure how to describe it. Without being insulting, it's quite sort of like downy, lo-fi kind of stuff, and I was like, that's not really what I thought I was going to get from someone who plays for Sting. You know what I mean? It's like a complete 180, isn't it, from Sting?
Yeah. I think that's accurate. There's a way that someone described it once to me, which I've kind of stuck with, and because I'm genre hop, so I'm always I can never stick to a genre, which is kind of a problem. But if you're trying to get a big fan base, but that's just how I do it. So that I have in common with Sting, because he doesn't seem to stick to any one particular genre. But I like this tag of psychedelic rock or psychedelic folk, psych rock, because it basically allows me to go in any sort of direction. Yeah, but generally, for me, it's that lo-fi kind of down sort of sound. I mean, when I do most of my gigs, it's often me on my own, and so it's very stripped back and raw. And but then on the album, I want it to be fleshed out a bit, so I'll get a good drummer on it, and play bass, and add different levels to it myself. But it's fun just to genre hop. I love it.
Yeah. Because it's quite country as well at times. And I watched a couple of your Facebook videos, and there was like one that was like proper country. I have no idea what any of the songs are called. But you were sat on a stool doing a gig, bouncing your foot up and down. I was like, it's quite Johnny Cash, that one.
Yeah. I think particularly in the South London scene at the moment, it seems like everyone wants to be like country. It's like it's like the folk thing and the country thing are kind of quite overlapped, and a lot of kind of people that sound a bit like Johnny Cash or who was I listening to? Hank Williams' grandson. But just this kind of outlaw country, that kind of sound. I guess I like that. I don't know why, because I don't listen to a ton of stuff like that, but it's just you pick up an acoustic and you sing a little low. I don't sing I sing in an American accent, so I guess it just comes out sounding, a bit country.
Bit cowboy hat country, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
So you've got a new single coming out, and then an EP that follows. So the single's out the 1st, so that'll be 4 days after this comes out, and I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's next Friday, isn't it?
Yes. So you're releasing your first single on April Fool's Day, and what's the surprise?
Honestly, an accident. It's my friend that helps me put it all out, and also the guy that produced this EP. So I'm gonna have to talk to him about this and say, why did we do it that day? Is there a surprise I don't know about?
It's probably a good day, because a lot of other people will probably avoid it.
Yeah, probably
wide open. It's probably only you on that day. Unless the other Rufus Millers had a resurgence.
That'd be interesting if he puts it out too. Yeah, no, it's the second one from this EP. I put out one standalone single called Gold, and then the last one was Found, and then this one's called Road. And they're all this. Actually, they were all done in lockdown, so they're all quite stripped back. They're all much more lo-fi, which I like. It sounds more like what I do live. Just maybe a couple of guitar tracks, 2 or 3, a couple of vocals, and I'm super proud of it. It's, I'm really excited for people to hear it, actually, and we're doing it a little bit differently to how I've done the last 2 albums. It's the 2 albums I just chucked out a whole load of songs. This time I'm doing a song a month, so every month you'll get a new song. Yeah. And I think that seems to be a better way of doing it nowadays.
Was it a fairly lo-fi recording process as well? Is it fairly sort of a guitar, mic in front of the guitar, bang kind of thing? How did you go about the actual process?
Yeah, well, a bit of that. It was all like done home studio, and so we've got all the plugins, everything we need to make it sound great, really. But then we have some amps there, and we've got good mics. But it was. I'd say for the first 2 albums, that was all done in Copenhagen, and I really invested in wanting to make it sound a bit more big and all of this sort of thing. But I wanted something that sounded more like what you hear when you come and see me play live.
The only reason I asked was because I'm sensing there's a little bit of that kind of. It's going back a while now, but that kind of Damien Rice thing going on. That kind of just get some decent mics, and let's just really capture that live kind of sound. And it seems to be something that's quite, it's obviously fairly revolutionary when he first did it, because it was very lo-fi against what was going on. But there just seems to be a bit of a resurgence of that at the moment, which I think is great. I think it's everything's so warm and rich, and like you say, it's relatively. It's got a very nice big sort of warm, rich sound about it, which I'm interested to see if that's something that might be coming back across the space a bit more.
I hope.
I wonder if it's connected with people putting stuff out on social media. Them just sat there playing guitar. It seems like that's cool again. You just sit there with your phone or whatever. It's a basic setup, and people really want to see something that's live, that's real, that they're actually watching you play. But that Damien Rice album, that was a big deal. I loved that when I guess I must have been like 17 when that came out, and just like I want to do that. So
it's well, I think as well it's a testament to how good the songs were, because you strip it back and it sounds so powerful. And in reality, and I mean, it almost sounded like there wasn't a lot of time put into the recording, which I know is completely wrong, because they spent a lot of time picking the right mics and getting the right room and what have you. But it just had that real kind of, that's him in a space, just eyes closed singing, which I think is because the thing is, when you've got something that's going to be there and it's never going to get changed and it's always going to be what it is, then there's a danger you overproduce. There's a danger it gets too clinical and all those kind of things. And actually to go, do you know what? I just want it to sound like this. I want it to sound like me in a room. I think that's really, certainly at that point in time, I thought it was really brave. And it absolutely paid off. I mean, what a record.
Yes. Phenomenal. Yeah.
So when are we, where are we going to be able to hear your stuff? Is it going to be on Spotify, Amazon?
Yeah, it's on all of that. Yeah, all the streaming services and all of that.
So you're getting ready to go on a 6-month tour with Sting. Are you going to get an opportunity to promote it and do some gigs around it?
Well, luckily, there's the backing singer in Sting's band, Gene Noble, is doing a gig when we have an off day in London. So we're going to do 6 gigs in London in April. So on the 18th of April, we're going to do a gig at a place called Powerhouse, which is Dingwalls in Camden Lock. So, that's an opportunity. But I guess I've just got to get busy on the socials and just try and, let people know that way. And if there's off days, just try and do gigs. But this touring schedule is a lot more full on than what we've done before. It's like, 6 gigs a week.
Is this this is the Making Up Lost 2 years tour?
That's it.
So I was going through your socials earlier, and I've written down a question, and it says, you have a lot of guitars. a lot of guitars. It's like in almost every single photograph, you're playing a completely different guitar. How many guitars do you actually own?
Yeah, I must own about 10 or 12 guitars, I'd say. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, adds up. I try and keep it simple, keep it like hidden away a bit. Some of them or lend them to people. Like when I'm focusing, I'm playing, I just try and focus on like one or two guitars. Like a lot of the clips I put out recently of me on BC Rich guitar, which is totally like a metal guitar, right? But
yeah,
it's it works quite well. Like just changing it up, just something with a Floyd Rose or a different acoustic or something that's tuned differently, like different pickups. It's like, that's how I write. That's how I get inspired.
And there is it Providence? Is that?
Yeah. That's Peck and Rye company. Yeah, they just started making guitars and they're doing a great job.
Yeah, Matt from Monty's Pickups kind of introduced me to them. And,
nice.
I'm hoping that Matt's going to bring some of them along to the guitar show. In whatever it is, 6 weeks' time or something, because I really want to have a look at them. Because you're playing it's almost like a non-reverse Firebird.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's like a cross between that and a Jazzmaster or something, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a quality guitar. Everything's so high spec with it. And they make it with so much love, and Monty's pickups in it are great. Those jazz pickups sound quality, and I guess they're making tweaks, like the bridge is a little, it's like not I guess it's not like a typical Fender or not like a typical Gibson. They're just making it like exactly the sort of thing that someone like me would really like. What's any guitar player, I highly recommend trying them out, and they're such nice guys. So Ruben's a guitar tech, that's how I met him.
Right.
And Kevin worked for Martys Guitars, and just they went and got their space in Peck and Rye, and they're doing so well with it.
So when you're touring as you or touring with Sting, have you got a different kind of setup that you take to gigs?
With Sting, I've got my chorus pedal on the whole time, and I'm using these really nice Lone Star amps. I'm using a lot more effects because it's we do a lot of Police songs and stuff, but it's still pretty basic. Bunch of like Boss pedals, and I use Les Pauls for Sting. Sure, that's like my sound with him is a Les Paul, just a warm thing to counterbalance my dad's Strat sound.
Yeah.
And then for my gigs, I turn up with an acoustic and with an electric. And at the moment, that Providence guitar is the one I bring as my electric. And I keep it real simple. I don't even use any pedals. I just go into the amp and then I go into a DI with the acoustic, and just that raw kind of bluesy sound is what I'm after at the moment. Maybe a fuzz or overdrive pedal, like if I've got a drummer with me. But other than that, I just love the simplicity of guitar and an amp.
Is it? I mean, I don't know how many people you play to when you're playing as you, but is it kind of like is it slightly freaky that you've played to, I don't know, 15, 20,000 people one night? And I suppose, in the nicest possible way, everybody's looking at Sting. It's his gig, right? And,
Oh, yeah.
And then you end up playing in Camden Lock, and everybody's looking at you, but there's several hundred there.
Yeah.
I suppose, does it fuck with your head a little bit?
Interesting. Yeah, I get such a kick out of it, man. Like my main venues that I seem to play are like Irish bars or small clubs or rock bars or heavy metal bars, where often the audience most of them don't even really know who I am. They just come just to, just to go out for the night. But I love winning them over. I love like having to prove myself, like with Sting, it's like they've come to hear some songs. It's a big deal. They're going to be into it. The songs, do all the work. But for my stuff, I've got to really like prove myself, and I get a real kick out of that. There's nowhere to hide, and I feel like it's strength. Each one strengthens the other. Playing with Sting gives me the confidence to go out and do my own thing, and my own thing. It makes me really want to get back and play Sting songs again to fucking 20,000 people. It's like it's a good balance, but sometimes it messes with my head a little bit, I guess. just got to make sure your ego doesn't mess with you too much. Like if you're at a small gig, don't act like you're supposed to be doing anything bigger. And then if you're at a big, don't worry about all the minor things. It's all good. So it's just be a part of a big team.
What is it like having 20,000 people stare at you? And I'm assuming I say 20,000, but actually with Sting, you've probably played to 80 or 100,000, depending on where you are in the world.
Mm. It's weird. It's an interesting thing. Like those big gigs, it's like there's so many people that it feels surreal. It's like you can't really see if they're into it or not. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But if there's like 10 people there in a bar, you can see if they're not into it because they'll leave and go out for a cigarette or go out to have a piss.
Oh yeah, I've done loads of those gigs,
and it hurts, right?
Yeah.
But those bigger gigs, you don't know.
It's terrible when 10% of the audience goes for a piss, isn't it? It's just,
one of the last gigs I did, I started berating an audience of the member of the audience because they got up to go out, and I was like, "Where are you going? Like, there's only like 30 people here. You can't leave." And he was like, "I'm the drummer in the next band, mate. I'm just going to get my cymbals out of the car."
I swear it's good. I swear it's good for musicians to be humbled as often as possible, Because you need to have a big ego in some ways to get up and do that on stage. Yeah. But then if it's too big, you've like lost the whole point of it,
Mm.
Yeah.
I would imagine the rider's better though with Sting, isn't it?
yeah, it is. But like, we're so, we're all so disciplined in trying to, be the model. Yeah, there's a lot of what?
Quinoa. I bet there's a lot of quinoa backstage.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of honey, lemon and ginger tea, that's for sure. I'm actually in the band. I'm the dude that makes the tea. For some reason, it's like wrangled to me that I'm like tea man. So everyone's like, "You made the honey, lemon, ginger tea yet?" I'm like, "Oh, just coming up."
I love this. It's like your dad has actually done like the proper, like he's coming into the company, but he's got to start at the very bottom before he works his way to the top. He's the tea boy, all right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
To be fair, though, Ronnie Wood had that for 10 years. He was there over the moon when Bill left.
But I do make a good cup of tea, that's for sure. I make it with lots of love, and Sting's knocking on the door like, my tea ready yet? And he's even got someone that makes him tea, but he wants to have my, it's like it's a funny thing.
Well, that's your gig secure then for the future, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
They do make the joke, stop making this tea, then you're going to be out of here.
Well, bringing it back round to London, you'll be very pleased to hear, because I'm currently sat just on the edge of Covent Garden. London is bouncing tonight. It's proper getting back to normal.
That's great.
For a walk on the river and walk back, and it's it's only a Wednesday night, but it's starting to feel like it used to feel.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it seems like it. But just before I only left like 5 days ago, and yeah, it seems like all the gigs are back on.
Yeah,
some great bands out and about. Just maybe better than it was before. It feels like.
So where are you in Paris? Are you at Olympic Studios or anything?
Where were we rehearsing? We were rehearsing in this big new venue here. I'm trying to remember what it was called. God, that's awful. I can't remember. But it's one of the big new venues that's actually on the river, and they just rented out a room that we rehearsed in.
Does a car come and take you to the venue and then pick you up from the venue and take you back to the hotel? I would imagine that yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, isn't it? That's the kind of life.
Yeah,
it's never going to happen, Jay. Don't smile at it. It's never going to happen.
And it's a good bunch, There's including Sting. There's 8 members of the band, and actually we're going to have 2 cello players coming in to play some songs with us on the gigs as well. So there's going to be like 10 of us, on stage. At least for a couple of songs, and then the rest 8. So it's a good gang. It's cool, and actually, most of the people in the band are my age. So it's when I first joined 10 years ago, I was the kid. It was me and Peter Tickell. He's a fiddle player from Newcastle. and he was in the band for a while too. But we were like these two kids that joined, and you can imagine they were teasing us the whole time. But been here long enough, and yeah, it seems like all the musos they want are like, you know, mid-30s, that kind of thing.
Is it still Josh on drums?
He just left. Well, at least he's not doing it all at the moment. So we've got this guy called Zach in at the moment, and I think he's definitely going to be doing it till June, maybe even longer. So yeah, I think Josh just wanted to have a bit more time at home. You know, he's got 4 kids, and
yeah.
But he's still doing. I mean, he'll always be busy. He's always going to be doing stuff in LA and that.
Yeah. Oh, because he was in Guns N' Roses for a brief time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I say brief time. I mean, it was like, I don't know, 10 years, but they didn't actually do anything in that 10 years, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah, right. I think he wrote a couple of the songs. He even wrote some of the riffs, which is pretty cool claim to fame to have written some Guns N' Roses riffs. You know?
Oh, well, yeah, he's probably got a writing credit on the last 2 singles then, because they're just recycled ex-Chinese democracy songs.
Yeah, very possible. I think he mentioned actually he was involved in some. Yeah, he knew what those songs were for sure.
Oh, cool. I've only got one other thing written down, and that's tattoos. How much did that chest piece hurt?
Oh man, enough! I was not prepared for that. It was unbearable. Because I don't have much, you know, meat on my bones here, and I thought, oh, I'd be all right. But no, it was absolute agony. But luckily, it was a good friend that did it, so we got through it. And it's not finished, but I'm almost getting to the point where I quite like it unfinished, you know, for obvious reasons.
I went out to the NAMM show, I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that, and because I am the right age for the Sunset Strip, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue sort of thing, you know, I was a teenager when all that was on. I decided I was going to go and get tattooed at Sunset Strip Tattoo. And when you go in, there's pictures of them all on the walls and stuff like that. And I got this not as big as yours chest piece. Mine's only, I don't know, 4 inches by 5 inches, something like that. And about 2 hours in, when I was like squeaming in the chair in absolute agony, he went, "Do you want a break, mate?" I was like, "Yes, please." He went, "It really hurts, doesn't it?" "Yeah, it does." And he went, "Yeah, it really hurts on the chest, but if I'd have told you that, you wouldn't have had it done." And the thing is, you know, you've got to go back into the chair at some point and get it. I mean, I've got no choice. I was in LA, you know, I've got to get it done before I went home, sort of thing. So, yeah, the most painful thing I've ever had done.
Yeah. Well, what did she get? I'm interested.
It's it's like a painting. So there's I loved a band called the Dogs D'Amour. Don't know if you've ever heard of them.
It rings a bell. Yeah.
And their lead singer Tyler paints, and it's like a silhouette of it's basically a silhouette of an angel, but like a dishevelled angel playing a J200. So that's what I had as one of his paintings. Except his painting was white, so I just flipped it in Photoshop and turned it to black, because you can't have a white tattoo.
No.
Was it just entitled Midlife Crisis, or did you get it?
This has never been a midlife crisis. This has been an ongoing crisis since I became a teenager.
All right. I can reassure you both, I'm never going to have a chest tattoo.
Well, you know, I mean, my office for the guitar show is in the back of my mate's tattoo studio, so I'm around it all day, every day.
That's the thing, and it was the same for me as soon as I got to Copenhagen. That's like the home of tattoos. All my buddies were tattoo artists, and they're like, "You love tattoos, but you don't have any. Like, what's wrong with you? Come on, get one. We'll give you one." And then once you start, you can't stop.
This is very true. This one on my arm was a freebie off. He sent me a birthday card once that just said, "Couldn't be asked to get you a present. Have a tattoo."
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So his present was stabbing me repeatedly with needles.
Yeah.
I could see the benefit of gifting that.
Yeah. I'm starting to think it was less of a present right now.
Yeah.
Well, Rufus, thank you very much for finding the time.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thanks,
particularly bearing in mind Jason. It's obviously an hour further back for you. And obviously just a quick repeat. So singles on the 1st of April.
Yeah.
And the EP follows, was it the 25th?
27th of May.
27th.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And you'll be all over the socials. So we'll point people in that direction. We must also thank our friends at Focusrite for continuing to sponsor the podcast and make evenings like this possible. So thank you, everybody. Wonderful equipment, wonderful gear, great interfaces. If you need anything for your home recording, Focusrite is the place to go.
And did we thank Jono? I can't remember if we did that before.
Oh, no, we didn't, did we?
Recording. No. So, Jono, if you're listening to this, thanks for the intro, mate. Cheers.
Wonderful. And obviously, hopefully at some point, Rufus will get a chance to hook up in the flesh and you can make us tea.
Yeah, I promise it'll be a good one.
Yeah.
If you come to the guitar show any time, honestly, I'm just pointing you in the direction of the kettle.
Nice.
Right, well, we'll leave it there. Thanks, chaps. Everybody have a good evening, and we'll speak to you all very soon.
Bye.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks for listening to 9 to 42, the podcast from the team at the Guitar Show UK. If you've enjoyed the show, then please remember to hit the subscribe button and share with other like-minded souls. For more information about 9 to 42, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram at the Guitar Show UK. This has been an A Short Stories production.